down with OTC? Are you down with OTC? OTC. Are you down with OTC? Are you down with OTC? OTC. Are you down with OTC? Down with OTC. Down with OTC.
Who's down with OTC? What's going on, Crypto Fam? How is everybody doing today? It's a lovely day, and it's part 3 of the SEC VRipple deep dive. We're uncovering a complaint that was filed on December 23rd, 2020. We're going to go through it. There's a lot of cool stuff to uncover. I'm looking forward to your questions. Do me a favor, tweet this out. If it's your first time here, like, subscribe, click that notification bell below, and you'll be notified the next time we go live. We also have another channel also down below which you can click on and subscribe. Those are shorter form videos, and the likes there. So who's ready to get this thing kicked off? Let's go.
And now, the XRP Minute with Chip on the Chain.
Chip here with the XRP Minute, and right off the bat, who's the first one in here? None other than Wen Mullet, who has a glorious mullet because I met him in person. Spent some time hanging out at the beach, which was lovely, I have to say, and man, what a glorious mullet. I want you guys, if you can, go ahead, tweet this out, text your friends, hey man, jump on this stream, whatever you need to do, but let's get this thing kicked off. I saw really good, right off the bat, I saw something from GDLT here. And one of the things he's saying here is that people aren't saying that XLM, ICX, Atom's dead. Lots of people are saying XRP is dead. I think we know for sure what that Phoenix is. It's XRP. And I have to agree with you, G, because if you noticed in the thumbnail, what do you see that bird? It's a phoenix, and it is rising from the ashes. One of the reasons that I put that in there, and you are very observant, so that is really, really good. Yeah, when Mullet is saying, I hope the trolls stay home, but hey, man, you're on duty, Mullet. You gotta quash those, smash those trolls when they come by. So yeah, please hit that like and subscribe button, and let's continue. Let's go through this. So we have part 1 and part 2. You can click below and watch those. What we've been doing here is we've been uncovering the SEC versus Ripple complaint that was filed, on December 23rd. Seemed kind of like a weird Christmas present. It's like, here you go, Ripple. But one of the things that we're uncovering here and what we're looking through, and again, I'm not a financial advisor, but I am a guy who has an opinion. I'm sharing my opinion, and what I see in here is a very weird attempt to try to classify XRP as a security. They're going through a lot of efforts to do that. I personally don't see it as being a security. There's a lot of other people out there as well. I don't see that it sort of fits that bill. And today we're going to jump through some stuff which really gets into some of the personal stuff that happened around the founders with Chris Larsen, and then later Brad Garlinghouse, now CEO and chairman of the board. And we're going to dive through it. And we last left off, we were on page 20. And anytime you guys have some questions, throw them in the chat. We'll see if we can get them up. But again, the reason I love doing this is because of you, because you make this so enjoyable. And you make it fun for me to just kind of go through, and you're part of the show. You're generating it with me. We are doing a mini workshop on this. So let's jump in. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. Let's do this first off. And let's see if I share the right screen. I got several of them here. Let's do this. Okay. Okay, let's jump into this. So we last left off. We were on page 20, and what we'll do is we'll go through here. We'll grab some questions when we go through, and let's go ahead and take a look here. So again, this is a 71-page complaint, and we are on page 20. There we go. Yeah, page 20. So we're going to leave off at E. Defendants' other XRP distributions and listing of XRP on digital asset trading platforms. And at times, rather than directly selling XRP to the market to fund its operation, Ripple funded its dual XRP market creating and company financing goals by transferring XRP to third parties as compensation. And we talked a little bit about this yesterday, about the compensation using XRP in a variety of fashions. They use it as compensation, and we're going to get into today where we're going to see that they used it as well. We'll jump into it. I think it's more exciting once we hit that piece of it. Other XRP distributions consisted of 5 types of sales and distributions of XRP in return for cash or other considerations below. First off, we have executive compensation distribution. Between December 2016 and at least May 2019, Ripple granted certain of its executives a total of $900 million in XRP in consideration for their labor. Oops, sorry about that. I had a little issue with my mic there. Granted them for their labor, and if you see that there was at least 597 million here, of which Ripple was already tendered to these executives. So let's look at that. So what they're saying here is that Ripple specifically, between a 3-year period, right between December 2016, May 2019, they had granted. What does that mean? Here you go. Here's 900 million XRP, and there was at least 597 million which had already been tendered to the executives. So do the math there. 900 plus 597. There you go. So it's almost, if you round up a little bit, it's basically about 15. Well, it's a lot. 1.5 billion. There we have. Let's dive back in here. Let's see what we have. Okay, so going to the next page here, December 13th, Ripple granted Agent 3. Now you're thinking, okay, who's Agent 3? Well, let's jump back over here. Let's look here and look at who Agent 3 is. I had this all set up, but I was actually searching for some other stuff. There's the jurisdiction, the venue, blah, blah, blah. Here we go, right here. So this is where all the players are named in here. You have the chief defendants. This is against Ripple. It's against Brad Garlinghouse, CEO, Chris Larsen, chairman of the board. And what they do is, instead of actually naming people, what they're doing here is they're naming the entities, XRP2 LLC, and now we talked about the co-founder. That's Jed McCaleb. If you look at the age, it lines up. You have Cryptographer 1. That's David Schwartz. He's not named in here. You have Ripple Agent 1. Maybe I could use your help in you guys figuring out who this is. Age 55, California resident, co-founder Ripple, received 2 billion XRP. That looks like it might be, and his name evades me, but you guys will know his name. But again, he left shortly after founding, but I thought he was only granted 1 billion. So that's why I'm wondering if that's the right person. Ripple Agent 2, here we go. So Ripple Agent 2 is, who is this? Miguel VS, okay, because he was a Florida resident, served as Ripple's head of XRP markets from November 2016. And then we have Ripple Agent 3, that's Patrick Griffin. He was the executive VP from 2013 to 2015. He became the senior vice president of business development 2015 to 2018. So that's who they're talking about here, Patrick Griffin. They're saying that Patrick Griffin and Garlinghouse were given 150 million and 500 XRP respectively in separately negotiated compensation agreements. So what they did was they worked up some type of a, hey, what's going on, Ferdy? Good to see you, man. Digital nomad investor, what's going on? Yeah, that was Kid, right? So that's who we ought to really put that in there. That's who it is. But I thought Kid was only given, he was only given 1 billion. That's interesting. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and highlight this here. What was his first name? Guys, if you guys want to throw it in there. Kid. Where is he? I'll just put Kid for now. We can always add that. But that's who, let's keep this straight so we can put Kid in there. That's Ripple Agent 1, 55 years old, loaded, right? He's got 2 billion XRP. Or maybe he sold $1 billion off the bat and he was still holding $1 billion. Not sure exactly. So what they're alleging here, let me just make this a little bit bigger. You guys can see it. So they were granted 150 and 500 million respectively. They were worked out in some separate compensation packages. Ripple granted Garlinghouse an additional 250 million XRP on May 29th, 2019. And pursuant to the terms of these agreements, Ripple transferred approximately 521 million XRP to Garlinghouse, approximately 76 million XRP to Ripple Agent 3, who we know is, we pop right over here, we know that is Patrick Griffin. And so what they're building right now is they're going towards the point of like they're trying to talk. Greg Kidd, there you go, beautifully. Thank you. Who said that? That was everybody. That was Ferdy. Put Greg, Stapping Zerps. The problem with here is that I sometimes what happens is there's such a delay, especially in this software. It's a bigger delay, so sometimes it's delayed by a lot. I mean, it could be like 15, 20 seconds. So. It's not that I'm not responding if you guys answer, it's just that it comes in very slow. So pursuant to the terms of these agreements, Ripple had transferred the 521 to Garlinghouse, 76 million to Ripple Agent 3, Patrick Griffin, and approximately 246 million and 44 million respectively at the time of the transfer. So the on-demand liquidity distribution. So what they're doing is they're kind of laying out the case here. They're going through and they are assigning who some of these folks are, right? They're looking through like who are they building their crafting their case. So first we have Garlinghouse, but the other people aren't named because they're not implemented in the complaint. They're just that's why they don't refer to them by name, but they kind of do if you really go back and you know who they're talking about. So what they get into is they encourage the adoption of ODL or on-demand liquidity. Ripple paid XRP to both the money transmitting business and certain market makers that supported the product for their efforts. Ripple chose to compensate these entities, which were not investors in XRP, with XRP directly, understanding that they would monetize their fees by selling XRP into public markets. From December 2018 to 2020, Ripple issued about 324 million XRP as fees, rebates, incentives to entities associated with ODL without restricting the ability of these entities to resell the XRP. Now, a common theme that we see throughout this whole complaint, and it's kind of filtered throughout the whole complaint, is the SEC alleging that and they're kind of saying what they should have done, what Ripple might have done, is they're going through and saying that they did not actually say whether or not restricted any kind. They're like, if it was given as compensation, there was no restrictions on it. Now, they do mention that in certain circumstances there were lockup periods, right? There might have been a lockup period for 6, 8, 12 months, but the SEC keeps coming back to this point and drilling it home, saying that they didn't put any restrictions. So if you gave it to any entity for any reason, in this case, you know, they're talking directly with on-demand liquidity and the ODL thing right here. Yeah, this is a good point. This is a good one right here. So Michael O2, if you remember that, that was a big moment for XRP where Ashton Kutcher gave $4 million in XRP on the Ellen DeGeneres show. That was pretty cool. I mean, I remember that. It's funny. I'm glad you reminded me of that, Michael. I almost forgot. Maybe the rest of the people did as well. Um, yeah. So what else do we have here? Dun, 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 dun. Dan Glickhoff. I'm just reading his thing here. Yeah, okay, so this is interesting. So Dan chimes in here. He says Ripple, founded in 2012, operates XRP payment protocol, considered an improvement over BTC with its centralized ledgers, faster settlement speed, and digital wallet across 55 countries. Yeah, and that's I was funny. I was just having a conversation last night with my wife, saying that she was talking about Bitcoin. I was talking about XRP, and I was like, think of XRP really as kind of Bitcoin 2.0. If you think about it, right? So I still don't believe, you look at Satoshi Nakamoto's last board statement, it says something, we have more work to do, something along those lines, more work to do, and then nobody ever heard again. So I don't think everything was completely finished with Bitcoin. I think they were starting to see some of the shortcomings. They just never got around to it. All right, so this is so Ferdy's coming in here. He says, "Hey, serious question. I'm in a group of 25 investors. Some of them are really negative at the moment because of the SEC lawsuit and current price." Yeah, tell me about it. I try to explain, but they don't get it. Yeah, Ferdy, I think this is a great question because I think everybody can relate to this. I think in a way we're all sort of there, because what essentially is happening is that, if you told someone about XRP and you're excited about it, right? You go to a party, you're like, do I say something about XRP? Do I tell people I'm into digital assets? Do I tell them about Bitcoin, right? That whole conversation comes up. Well, some people recently in my world started getting into it and excited about it. And then somebody else was, sending text messages like, we need to sell, the SEC is coming after them and the whole thing's going to go. And I'm thinking to myself, look, one of the great things about doing this mini workshop together is that I have to sit there and prep, and I have to look at this thing. Now, I've read through this thing twice. I'm going through a deeper dive. I'm looking for, I'm cross-referencing it with other things, because on first read, even if you casually read through this, there's a lot here. And I am 100% convinced this has been ongoing for maybe well over a year, if not 2 or more. This is an investigation that was launched some time ago. It's just my personal opinion of it. Again, just my opinion, you guys. But based on the discovery that's inside of this complaint, to be able to craft this message didn't happen in a month or two. And knowing how, even with a team of attorneys, they had to comb through an awful lot of emails, messaging, internal documents, all of this stuff to be able to pare it down to 71 pages. And they had to craft their case so that they wanted to build a case against, in this complaint against SEC. And that's all it is at the moment, is a complaint. They're requesting a jury hearing, right? And I probably, if I was to guess, if I was a betting man, if I was to guess, what I think might happen is once this, we're still in holidays, we got the new year coming up, what might happen, and it certainly could, is Ripple could say, hey, this is severely impacting our ability to conduct business. The market has tanked. There's a lot of people out there that are investors. They didn't, they're not at fault here. So what they might request is some sort of an emergency type of a hearing, because this isn't something you want to drag on. And Ferdy, for the exact same reason you stated that, we're all in the same boat, right? I don't necessarily think that Jay Clayton is a villain necessarily here. Jay Clayton is a guy that didn't understand crypto, and probably begrudgingly he said that Bitcoin and also Ether or Ethereum was not a security. But in another parallel thing, we're kind of diving through this, but I want to do a video on breaking that down between what's happened with Ether, some similarities that happen. So if you're calling this not a security, then you got to go with XRP not a security. If Ether's not a security, guess what? Neither is XRP, because there was some very big funding that happened off of, and the same thing they're alleging in this complaint that Ripple did. They're saying, well, you guys funded you guys were, you poor Ripple, even though they had, a seed round, they had Series A, B, C, right? They raised $300 million. What they're alleging here is that they wouldn't have been able to survive. Well, guess what? Vitalik Buterin puts out a famous, well, I was going to say it's famous, but he puts out something to one of the investors publicly thanking this investor for, if it hadn't been for this investor with the advance, I think this is 2014, advance, maybe it's 2015, I'll have to look for the date, but basically saying that if it hadn't been for an investor buying all of the Ether, probably Ethereum wouldn't have survived. Whoa, geez, that's something interesting, because that looks exactly like what went on here, right? Because of the way Ether, because of the fact that you had XRP that was created, right? One time, 100 billion. You have Bitcoin, which is mined, and you have Ethereum, which is now going to, Ether 2.0, right? They're I still think they're in the middle. I still haven't had any confirmation if that's anywhere near done yet. But Bitcoin, yeah, that's safe, right? Because there's nobody knows who Satoshi Nakamoto is. Completely 100% decentralized, not going anywhere. Ether, not the same thing. Ether is very similar. If you look at the foundation that was set up, if you look at, and then let's look at Stellar. You have the Stellar Foundation, right? You had Jed McCaleb, who had some disagreements early on with the founders, who said, hey, I'm going to go over and start my own thing. I think he wanted to go more retail versus, the more heavy hitters on the the bank and the institutional side. So he kind of broke off and went his own way, basically forked everything. So XLM is the sister to XRP, right? Price wise, it hasn't kept up. It probably also hasn't kept up with the amount of partnerships that we've seen with Ripple. But nonetheless, guess what? That's why Garlinghouse said in his memo to the employees, this isn't the SEC coming after Ripple. Oh, no. This is the SEC coming after the entire altcoin marketplace, right? If this is going to be deemed a security, guess what? There goes the altcoin marketplace. There goes most of it, right? Because there's 5,500 other projects that are probably sitting on the edge of their seat right now going, what's going to happen? So to sum that up, Ferdy, look, I mean, it's a tough conversation. We live and breathe this every single day. It's a passion for us. It's not only an investment, but it's something we really enjoy. Some people really like buying and selling stocks. Some people like, music a lot and following artists, right? What we do is we follow, kind of like we're like fanboys and fangirls of the crypto set, right? We look at, Vitalik. Everyone, if I say Vitalik, you know who that is. If I say Jed McCaleb, if I say Garlinghouse, a lot of the names out there. Charlie Lee. Oh, interesting. Charlie Lee sold his entire bag. Just sold it off, right? He was like, hodl strong, sold every stinking last one. And guess what? Guess what happened to him? Nothing, right? Nothing happened to him. Completely out of the, off riding into, I don't know what he's doing today, but, he sold out. Look, and it's his right to sell out. But he was also saying hodl, and then he was doing that. So are we going to look at the same type of thing? Hey, I want a big shout out to Reg Mabry here, and I hope I'm saying that right. Is it Reg? Mabry? It's maybe or Mabry. I don't know. You'll have to do the sound out pronunciation so I can screw it up some more times. But thank you for the support of the channel. Really appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Here's Stephen Kurt saying, hey, look at the Elon Musk SEC case. Same thing will happen to XRP in the next 2 to 3 years. We'll be in the best return on investment coin. Personally, I believe that, Stephen, 100%, because, it was on the other channel. We have another channel. Yeah, Litecoin is a joke. I don't know if it's a joke, but look, it has. I'm not going to say it's a joke. Okay, I'm not tribal that way. I realize you like to, gauge your opinion on that, but yeah, it has some things that I'm not 100% down with, right? I mean, it has its things, right? Have no clue why anyone is into. So yeah. I kind of on says I have no clue why anyone is into Litecoin. Well, but then people say the same thing about XRP, especially now. They're like, "What do you XRP?" They're like, that's like the worst thing in the world. What are you guys doing in XRP? So yeah, there's a little bit of that going on as well. And David, appreciate that. David Maturo says, hey, super sticker, boom, van guy. There you go, man. Thank you for that. Appreciate the support of the channel. You guys can put comments up there too, if you want. If you put a comment there, best way to get my attention, because that thing is like a neon color and then I see it. Otherwise, the things go up and it's sometimes I will miss them here and there. So appreciate that, man. Took me, where did I go? When Mullet, where did I go? It was on topic. Oh yeah, so when we look at, I've had people reaching out to me saying, what's going on there? But something cool happened. My son-in-law reached out to me and said, hey, XRP is at 17. Do I buy more? And I said, I'm a fan. You got to do your own research, and you got to do what's in your best interest for you. As far as Litecoin Lisa's into Litecoin, says Ferdy. Yeah, that's the most popular YouTuber that comes to mind. Maybe because it's in the name. But I said, just like I'll say to anybody, look, you got to do your own research. Say, hey, should I own, Bitcoin? I think everyone should own Bitcoin. But guess what? It's a personal decision. You got to be able to connect with the project. You want to invest in something you've researched. It's always going to come from a person. So what I'm telling people and how I'm handling that situation is like, look, let me tell you. Here, first of all, you can watch these videos. You can kind of glean your own opinion. Now, on the other channel, I threw a video out yesterday that I think you guys would really like, because of the fact that I talk about and break down the CFTC chairman, Chris Giancarlo, beautifully makes the case. He absolutely frames it. And that you can almost hang up and frame on a giant wall in huge letters everything that's stated in that article. And go check out my my video from yesterday. It's not long. It's about 27 minutes. But you will see that he makes the case. And if you want a really short overview, something to listen to in the background, go check that out, because what you're going to find out is like, oh, you're going to feel great, because the points he alleges in there, that if you go through the Howey test, right? We always bring this back to the Howey test. That's what this whole complaint is about, right? Is it a security? That's what they gauge. It goes back to the 1933 securities law, right? 33 and 34. This is what they're going back to. This is where we're at in 2020, right? And they go back to it. And he says the point he makes is that even if it hits prong one, if there's 3 prongs broken down into the Howey case, if it hits 1, okay. If it hits 2, great. Third one, it doesn't even come close to. And what he's saying, even if it did hit 2 of the 3 prongs, you still cannot consider it adhering to the Howey test, right? I think it's tough to go back to an Orange Grove grower and try to then compare that to a digital asset, right? Because what they're alleging in this complaint too is that you thought maybe you were, I don't know, buying a share of Ripple. And we know, because we're bag holders. What do we do when we see somebody out there in the community they go like, I bought some Ripple, and you're like, you're an insider, you bought stock in the company? No, the crypto thing. Oh, you mean you bought XRP? Yeah, whatever. So we even see that on some exchanges listed as Ripple, and you're not buying Ripple. Now, if anyone made the mistake, it's not Ripple, it's people outside of Ripple, it's exchanges, whatever. You saw a Ripple showing up instead of the XRP logo, right? And Ethereum, like the digital assets called Ether, right? Call it Ethereum, Ethereum, whatever. Now, the same thing, people interchange that Ripple and XRP. We kind of know the difference in that, because that's where we're at, right? We know the difference of where this is going. So when people come to you and they say, I said to everybody, hey, you know what? Check it out. I've done a lot of my own research. And here's why. If you want to know, I will let you know why I believe it's not a security. But you got to do what you feel comfortable with. If you don't feel like Ferdy's in an investment group with these 25 other investors and he's the only one, guess what? Someone is going to have some bragging rights, and that name is going to be Ferdy. And you say like, hey guys, that's cool. If you're out, that's fine. But if you're interested, I'll share some of my opinion why I believe it's not a security. And then I'll also share the fact that another government agency in the U.S. called FinCEN, which is the regulatory body that goes after the bad actors. And they've been auditing the book since 2015. They levied a fine in 2013. I also talk about that in the video. They also, and Jeff, if you're there, if you can drop that video link in there, you guys can bookmark that for later. But one of the things that FinCEN said was, okay, we slapped them. They made a misstep. And what's Ripple been doing all along? Well, like I tell everybody, they have been absolutely telling every move they're making to any regulator that will listen. And they've been yelling and screaming from the rooftops, hey, give us some regulatory clarity, right? This isn't a company hiding in a dark room somewhere. This is probably one of the most public, transparent blockchain companies out there. And they're like, we want clarity. We need to know. We are thinking about leaving the United States, right? They're not somebody who hasn't been vocal. But have you ever seen that video with Brad Garlinghouse hanging out with every important banker in the world? You ever seen that video? That's interesting. I wonder what that's all about. You wonder who's behind all this. Could it be a lobbying group? Could it be Swift? Could it be the BTC Maxis? I mean, you could go down some conspiracy. I don't think any of that matters. I think what matters is that this is a gift, and it's just my opinion that this was given as something that could expedite clarity, right? You have a court case. Will it go to a jury? Will it go to a hearing? How's it gonna pan out? You certainly can't have someone like a company like Ripple that's worth $10 billion have their business impacted for 2+ years, right? Not a good look. And when we talk about Brian Brooks, the comptroller of the OCC, coming out and saying, hey, hang tight, there's going to be regulations in 4 to 6 weeks. Well, that's like 3 weeks now from now. So is that going to change the course? And I've got some other ideas and stuff that Jeff and I have kind of like come to some conclusions based on what we're looking at here of what might happen, is that they could very well say, hey, you know what? When you started out in 2013, it was an unregistered security. However, due to the decentralized nature and how XRP changed with the validator nodes, right? There was a time when Ripple controlled that, and now they don't. And there was an amendment that was voted on recently that the Ripple validator voted no on. The other ones, they don't have more than 51%. So guess what? The Ripple validator said no. All the other ones said yes. The amendment passed. Can't think of what the amendment was. I was trying to find that this morning, but anyway, long question, but I appreciate that, guys. You just gotta forge on. You just have to do it, man. Let me see this one right here. Let's see. So this is Chris. He says, even if it's a security, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Ripple pays a fine. They hire some extra accountants, and they all move on with their lives. And the funny thing is, Chris, that's a really interesting comment. You just totally sum this whole thing up in one statement. Man, move on, because 90% of the customers are outside the United States, right? What this really does is it destroys any sort of innovation, right? So any of the innovation that was going to move forward, and you're crushing an altcoin market. I don't think anybody wants that. Nobody wants the market crushed and to move on. So what if it is deemed a security? Well, what happens to bag holders in the U.S.? Well, guess what? What's going to happen? Are we going to be penalized? No. Does the SEC really want this, or are they trying to provide and speed some clarity as well? Because they lose 2 out of 3 court cases that have been elevated to the United States Supreme Court. Not a good track record. They went after Kik for the Kin token, and guess what? And they fought them. I mean, they're a Canadian-based company, but they're like, come at us. We don't care. We're going to crush the SEC. This is stupid. Now, I wouldn't have recommended that behavior. I'm surprised their attorneys were cool with it. But after all that, I just was reading this today, and maybe this is another sort of a side video. The fact that they're in the clear, they're moving on, their business is moving forward, everything's good. And what did? They paid a $5 million fine for all of that. I guarantee the attorneys cost more than $5 million to handle that case. So call it a slap on the wrist. It's basically what it was. And if I had a guess, I don't know if you guys can hear this, but this is a fun gift I got from my daughter. It's a little goat, right? And so when things aren't cool, I give it it's a screaming goat, man. So I give Jay Clayton, a little scream right there, You guys can hear that anyway. But anyway, it's a little screaming goat. Cute little bugger, isn't it? Because, I have toys all over my studio here, which is always a lot of fun. So let's jump back into this thing. Let's go back. And Reg Mabry, thank you very much, man. He's dropping another 5. He keeps dropping these things, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Here we go, right here. Channing Smithson, who was on the roundtable this past week. If you want to watch another video, amazing. We didn't talk about, again, what we were going to talk about, but he's saying that Brian Brooks, Chris Giancarlo, Tom Emmers are extremely quiet. This thing must be big. Stellar Network, extremely interested in what's happening. Yeah, not only that, Channing, but everyone's interested in what's going to happen here, right? Everybody's thinking, what is the deal? And if you think the people that are all out there screaming, and you think that Vitalik's putting out these tweets like, well, look at this, making fun of XRP. Listen, buddy, The SEC can giveth, and the SEC can taketh away. Yes, that's interesting, Vitalik. We did say initially it wasn't a security, but upon further looking and digging, we do think it resembles a security. This can always happen. I mean, look, you're dealing with government here. There's nothing that's said and done, right? It's all there. And then look at this. So we've got Mitho Nelson with the $5 super chat. He says, "Hey, where's Christine Lagarde in all this?" Well, last time I checked, she was running the Central Bank of Europe, if I remember correctly, right? She's out there managing it. Yeah, but she's been. I think I saw something on her not at the beginning of the month where she did a video or something along those lines. Yeah, I'm not going to sing. There's not going to be any singing going on here, Channing. Let's not get crazy here. Yeah, so correct. No fraud. Then a scientific needed for disgorgement. Fines are merited for mistakes only. Yeah, that's exactly right. Fines would be levied. You would have some kind of a fine that would occur. Stephen Kurt says, if you don't think Brian Brooks knows what's going to happen, think again. Insiders know. Clarity, 6 to 8 weeks. It's now 3 to 4 weeks. That puts D-Day around the 3rd week of January. He's recommending buy. That's not me. I'm not a financial advisor. But if I were a betting man, I've never sold any of my XRP. Just saying. Just my opinion, man. So just one. Yeah, we've got the Tether lawsuit up. Who's talking about Tether here? I saw somebody talking about Tether. Tether's coming up in January, right? And that could have some wide-reaching. That's a different case altogether. XRP Chan says, I think it's been said lately that a digital asset can start out as a security, then over time can change to become a commodity. Should it be punished once the transition is done? Okay, that's a really good comment too. And if you guys remember Crypto Mom, you remember Crypto Mom coming out with an idea? I think this might have been in 2020. I'm trying to think of what was the I don't know the exact timing on that, but Hester Pierce, we call her Crypto Mom, and I've been saying this for a long time. I'm still waiting for the crypto part in Mom. Okay, Mom, great. Where's our crypto part? It's like, I'm Crypto Mom, and I'm like, there's no legislation around crypto. We're gonna have to revoke that title. We can no longer call you Crypto Mom. I'm just gonna call you Mom, or something, or Hester Pierce, right? And she's a brilliant lady. I've been reading some of her writing stuff recently. Man, she's really good at crafting ideas. A very strong writer. She's really. I'm very, very. Yeah, I joke about her because of the Crypto Mom part, but she came out and she said that any fintech that started a new project that had a digital asset would have 3 years of safe harbor to develop that project in a way that once those 3 years, at the end of that 3 years, they had to have a decentralized asset. They had to have a working game plan. And then later it was retracted where people thought, well, maybe 2 years is long enough. 3 years might be a little bit too. All right, so you can see that this idea in the SEC and has already been bantered about, right? Crypto Mom's not coming out. You don't have Hester Pierce releasing these ideas if there's not a little bit of oversight internally, right? So, I mean, can you have a government agency that's afraid? Yeah, it happens all the time. There's always going to be difference of opinion. There's going to be yin and yang everywhere. You have yin, you have yang. You have SEC versus, v Ripple. You have SEC versus Kick, versus this, versus that, versus Tether. It's going to be a lot of coming up from different locations all around, right? I want to dive back in because this starts to get pretty interesting of what the SEC is now alleging is happening as they're trying to craft their argument here, right? Let's jump back into this. So from December of 2018 through July of 2020, Ripple issued at least $324 million as fees rebates, right? Approximately valued around $667 million at the time of the Ripple payments. These entities typically have resold all XRP they received from Ripple to investors in the public market, typically on the same day they received it. And it's so funny that the SEC has. What were they supposed to do with it? Were they supposed to hodl strong? Listen, in this case, when you look at a digital asset as currency, the same way the Department of Justice referred to it as a currency, as FinCEN referred to it as a currency, as the UK regulators, as the Australian regulators, Japanese regulators, right? The European regulators, right? All said it wasn't a security. But nobody is really going to care what happens outside the U.S. when you're focused on U.S. law and whatever, blah, blah, blah. But you know, if you have the Department of Justice, that carries a little bit of weight, right? And they're really focused on this whole thing of and they're actually making the point of the fact that XRP is a currency. If you go ahead, if I'm going ahead and say, hey, I give you right now, I'm going to give you 1,000 XRP. You're like, that's cool, Chip. I mean, it's kind of generous. But if I say I'm going to give you 100 million, you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. So I get to give you 100 million. What are you going to do with it? Well, you might hodl on it, but you could just cash it out. What does that prove? It's a currency, right? It has value to it. That's on parity with fiat in its respective country. So to me, they're sort of making the case here that, and this theme keeps weaving through this, that it's a security. Is it a security? Is it unregistered security? Was somebody buying this hoping that it would go up? Yeah. Well, guess what? You buy a stock hoping it's going to increase in value. But there's multiple prongs of the Howey test. Okay. Let's jump back in. Sales of XRP to the market on behalf of Larson established entity and by Ripple funded projects. So in 2015 and 2017, Ripple issued at least 2 billion XRP as contribution to RippleWorks. That's an entity that Larson co-founded to invest in, among other things, XRP related projects to further Ripple's goals of achieving widespread trading of XRP into the market. Larson co-founded RippleWorks with another individual who would become the CEO of RippleWorks in mid-2015. Then Larson donated 1 billion of his own XRP to RippleWorks. Ripple's board, including Larson, approved giving 1 billion XRP to RippleWorks, in part because the board believed that RippleWorks would help promote Ripple's business. So again, when they're talking about the business of Ripple versus the XRP here, it's a little bit foggy here, right? So they say on February 1st, 2017, Ripple committed an additional 1 billion to RippleWorks. Ripple took no steps to ensure RippleWorks intended to hold XRP as an investment. And again, we see this. This is like one of the pervasive things that continues to weave through this complaint. You were gifted XRP, and oh man, you shouldn't. Well, why did you sell it? Well, guess what? It's a currency. It's a cryptocurrency. It has a value. And how is the entity supposed to do? What are they supposed to do with? It's like if I give you $100 and you put it in the bank, but I say you can't access it. That's what the SEC is hoping, that they should add lockup periods. They should add some restrictions around it. Why? What kind of restrictions would you have? It's currency. It has a value to it. And they say to the contrary, Ripple gave XRP so it would sell XRP to the public markets, and from mid-2015 to present enlisted the market maker to sell approximately 693 million XRP to the public on RippleWorks on behalf of the 176. So then I went back and said, okay, who is the market maker? So in this, on line 94, they say there are two entities. One of them was based in New York, registered with the SEC as a broker-dealer until December of 2019. I'd love you guys to go digging on that. I'm not sure who that is, but they apparently no longer are registered as a broker-dealer with the SEC. Now, the other entity was also based in the U.S., while another entity, so they're actually talking about, is internationally based, but has offices in the United States. The fourth entity, through Ripple, conducted most of its market sales, and this is really the one that really should be highlighted because this is the important one. This market sales is a global. Most of its market sales is a global digital asset trading firm with an office in the United States. So this is who they refer to as the market maker throughout here. So anytime they're talking about the market maker, they're talking about this fourth entity. And this is where all of the institutional sales, all of the sales happened. Ripple wasn't selling them directly. Ripple was working through this market maker or this entity. So Ripple wasn't out there doing it. So that's something new. I guess I never, I don't know if that was ever public, but that's interesting, right? Interesting to note there that they always say, well, Ripple, released $1 billion in escrow, and then if it wasn't sold, they were pulling some of it back. When you have a lot of these things happening, whether they sold out into the marketplace or they ended up bringing it back, it looks to me, from what I'm seeing here, is they use this other entity, which they deem market maker, who was actually doing all the groundwork. So it wasn't Ripple back room saying, okay, there's some XRP for you and some XRP. No, they were working through a third-party entity, from what I understand. And again, you guys can correct me if I might have missed something. So as we've determined, that's the market maker. Let's jump back over here. So on November 11th, 2016 email from the RippleWorks CEO to Larson and Garlinghouse exemplifies the relationship between the two entities. Now, in the email, RippleWorks CEO detailed RippleWorks 2016 year-end XRP selling, in quotes, and, in quotes, 2017 XRP sales in order to ensure we are all on the same page and allow anyone to chime in with any different thoughts, right? So what they're saying here is the fact that they were very vocal about being able to create the 2016 was year-end selling of XRP, 2017 XRP sales. And then this footnote here where they said in November 2019 tweet, Larson explained that RippleWorks had distributed 25 million to a number of ventures which presumptively resold XRP into the marketplace. There it is again, guys. They're going with that again. And then we have another example involves RippleWorks' eventual investment into a fund that wished to invest in digital assets. This is known as the XRP fund. And Ripple's loan of XRP to fund so it could be engaged in these market-making activities. Now, I'm going to run through some of this stuff because there's a lot of repetitive stuff where they're trying to build their case, and we don't have to read line by line. So August 2017, weekly update email. So you see how they're going through all the emails, tweets. This took a while to compile this. You had to go, somebody had to research and go through all of the tweets. Somebody had to go through all, somebody had to look through all the internal documents, right, to be able to craft this together. If people think the timing is weird, I'm not sure the timing is weird. I mean, maybe they wanted it filed because Jay Clayton was the one that wanted it filed as he made his way out the door. I don't know about that. I mean, it could be. He could have done that, but I have a feeling this was sitting for a while. And even Garlinghouse came out in his memo and said, look, we could have settled this because they're individually named. We could have settled. No, we believe we're in the right, not a security. Let's go to court. And he did the right thing because other people might have rolled over. And this is where I think that Larson and Garlinghouse certainly are two amazing, brilliant human beings who were successful before Ripple. This isn't like they woke up one day, had this idea, and like, how do we create a digital asset? And oh my gosh, as the SEC alleges, they didn't have a use case, but I want to sell it to anybody we can. I mean, it's sounding a little preposterous, this whole idea of like, we'll create it. We don't know what it's going to be used for. They knew early days it was going to be used for, cross-border remittance payments, right? They knew this out of the box. But you had Larson, who already had a successful exit. You had Garlinghouse, who also was with Yahoo. So these were successful men already, right? This isn't like they woke up one day and had this brainstorm idea, get rich quick scheme, and we're going to get XRP, we're going to make $1 million, and we're not going to sell unregistered securities. No, that's crazy stuff. So this is in August 27th and 2017, a weekly email. Ripple Agent 3 informed Garlinghouse that the XRP fund and Ripple had exchanged the term sheet. Oh, go on. So in November 2017, Ripple marketing executive asked Garlinghouse and Ripple Agent an email if they could use an upcoming investment conference in Manhattan to push the XRP fund or the RippleWorks CEO to close so we can announce. So they're looking for clarity internally from the upper brass to see if they can go ahead and make this announcement. And the next day, the Ripple Agent 3 informed Garlinghouse that Ripple was following up with the RippleWorks CEO with some provisions for the fund to prevent harmful XRP behavior. Now, what does that mean? Well, third-party incentives through Spring. Now, one of the things about this complaint is we learned some things we might not have known. Like, for example, some of it was public, some of it wasn't, but it's all in here. If you go through it and you go through it line by line, you're going to see it's all coming out. I don't know how many people actually took the time to read it. Even I think the press missed some key elements when they, 71 pages. You just pick out some of the key points. Let's see. I thought I saw a question here. Here we go. So CryptFam says, hey, personal opinion, but I think Ripple pushed for this to happen. And if they get clarity, I don't see the price slowing down anytime soon. It's the way they responded in the memo, the way Garlinghouse responded, that was lawyered up, it went through. You don't release a memo internally. Any internal documents you have of any company, especially a company like Ripple, which hopes to IPO at some point, right? So we talked about the IPO. When's the IPO going to happen? It's not going to happen if you've been under investigation with the SEC or there's certainly discovery going on, right? You remember a lot of this stuff was, well, when's Ripple going to IPO? Why aren't they going to IPO? They should IPO. Well, not when this is going on. And now we have Coinbase, which has halted trading coming up. I think it's the 21st. But if you read their blog post, they say, look, it's not going to affect institutional custody. It's not going to affect custody if you just have it in one of our wallets. It just simply can't. We're going to halt the trading part of it, right? But what are they in the middle of? They're in the middle of initial public offering or IPO. Coinbase is going to become a public company. Who regulates public company? Securities and Exchange Commission. What are some of the, when you go public, it's so stringent with the accounting and the board. If you notice, they just added 2 new board members. They're trying to shore everything up. I'm not talking about Ripple. I'm talking about Coinbase. They start putting the teams together. And when a company is going for an IPO, you need somebody that has IPO experience. And the accounting side of it is incredible. The reporting side is nuts. Having quarterly reports. And somebody had, I think it might have been even, I'm trying to think who it was out there. And somebody who's really well known. It could have even been Elon Musk or somebody out there was saying, hey, why don't we go, instead of quarterly, why don't we go to, twice a year? So much time wasted by putting these quarterly reports. I understand a lot of it's for investors and stuff, but look, if it was twice a year, I think that would work too. I'm not necessarily sure a lot can happen in the quarterly type of a thing, right? Here's a good one too. CryptFam says, hey, the new commissioner is pro-crypto. News comes that clarity is coming soon. Ripple sends response today. Things are adding up. Yeah, very, very astute observation, CryptFam. I mean, it's a very good observation. I wonder what Miguel Vias's role is. This is from Joe Chiochi. Man, I'm butchering names left and right. Well, I'll tell you what his role is. If you look at him, he's actually mentioned throughout this. Let's go up to, here we go. Florida resident right here. So anytime you see referred to as Ripple Agent 2, that's Miguel Vias. Ripple Agent 3 is Patrick Griffin. So that's who we know and have determined. Ripple Agent 1 is Kid. We've got Cryptographer 1, David Schwartz. So they name them all there. Unfortunately, I can never remember. I can't keep 1, 2, and 3 straight, which is why we'll refer back to this often, or you guys will keep me straight. If you know what I'm saying, people. Okay, so look at, Mr. B, hey, good to see you, man. He's saying XRP moved up 30% in 1 hour today. XRP is not dead. Yeah, I fully agree with that. It's not even close to being dead. And even if it was deemed a security, it's not being dead. But I just, from what I'm seeing here in this complaint, I'm just not seeing it. Now, I do see something coming up, which we're going to jump into, that I see they could specifically craft a fine around, right? Potentially. Again, it's like, it's opinion, and let's get your opinion too when we look through this together. So they're talking about this third-party incentives through Spring in 2018 to 2020. Ripple publicly marketed an initiative called Spring. And I've heard it called X Spring, whatever. I'm still going with Spring. So through which it distributed over 776 million XRP to at least 27 different entities or projects, with the shared expectation that entities would resell XRP to further Ripple's goals of achieving widespread XRP distribution. Now, I take a lot of, this is kind of mischaracterizing it too. Now, they're alleging that Ripple was hoping that they would resell the XRP. What they were looking for was use cases for XRP. They weren't really hoping they would sell it. So I do think there's a distinction there, which I think is being missed or mischaracterized. And so they talk about providing grants to incubate. They would invest in, incubate, acquire, and provide grants to companies and projects run by proven entrepreneurs in the hopes of achieving Ripple's stated goal of working to develop a use for XRP. Now, what they allege a lot in this complaint is the fact that, and this is another recurring theme that goes through here, is that Ripple created this, it was OpenCoin, and then, it already existed, and then it was renamed, and now what we currently know as XRP. One of the things that I think that they're missing here is they say, well, Ripple didn't really know what to do with this token. They were just hoping to sell it so they could fund Ripple, the corporation. No, I mean, early days, I mean, they don't share that discovery. They don't look at those emails. They don't look at that early discussion, right? They just kind of cherry pick stuff. And if you noticed in Stuart Alderati, who's the general counsel for Ripple, pointed out something very important. He put out a very short tweet, but he said they were cherry picking. You can do this on a lot of different things. You can cherry picking something. Suppose you have a friend that tells you something and they go on this, they talk for 5 minutes and you pick out that 1 or 2 words and you say, yeah, but you said, and the whole theme of the conversation was completely different. So there's always that cherry picking without framing it, especially if you take a quote, it's kind of out of context. So let's dive back in here. Ripple used Spring as yet another way. See, another way, guys, another way to get XRP into the hands of public investors through conduits, while obtaining the added benefit of incentivizing third parties to help Ripple pursue its XRP goals. Now, again, this is kind of the XRP goals. You know, their goals, they had these XRP goals. What could Ripple possibly have to do with the price of XRP? What kind of control do they have over XRP? Very limited, in fact. I mean, I don't really necessarily see where they're going with this thing. So, Reg, thank you for the $5. Appreciate it, man. He says, former SEC lawyers, Mary Jo White, and other government officials working for Ripple, are they getting paid with XRP as currency or unregistered? Ooh, an interesting observation. They probably were not getting paid in XRP. They don't specifically bring up any sort of investment. You know, they talk about the compensation packages they had with, other agents, who they refer to as agent 1, 2, and 3. There were some compensation packages, obviously separate. They were like an employment compensation. I would think something like that would have to occur, but that's a really good point you're bringing up, Reg, because you're right. These SEC lawyers joined the board, right? And are also joined as counsel. So, from what I'm recalling, and again, you guys can tell me what I'm wrong here, but it's interesting. But is there more of that going on, or is that more cherry picking that we're seeing that's occurring here? That's interesting. So Ripple gave XRP to these entities so they'd sell, right? And took no steps to ensure Spring-funded parties would not resell their XRP to the public. Well, there you go. You're making the point for why it's a currency, because it has a value. So from November 1st, 2018, 2-year services and a marketing agreement with one entity promised certain development services to promote technologies of interest to Ripple. Of course, what would they promote technologies of? Oracle, technologies of the Stellar Foundation. I mean, what technology would they be looking at? The agreement provided that the entity would receive a bi-monthly development service fee of 5 million XRP and could identify additional parties that could receive XRP as incentives, provided these additional parties had agreed to abide by Ripple mandated parameters for their XRP trading volume. Now, they don't get into what that trading volume is or how that looks. Is this part of the lockups they're talking about when they say there were parameters? They don't mention what the parameters are, so we can only guesstimate at this point. Ripple had paid the entity at least 364 million XRP, of which the entity had distributed 178 million to other parties, typically approved by Ripple. And another distribution, which was included in a November 8th, 2018 agreement, where Ripple agreed to pay a company up to 17.5 million in XRP if the company met certain milestones related to the integration of XRP into the customer systems. I want to shout out a couple people here. Tina Hall, XRP Bones. My Zoo crew is here. Yeah, and we have Anthony AJ Jackson in here as well. So when they're looking at this, look, every company has goals that they want to meet. The reason they're pulling this in here and they're trying to drop that recurring theme was, if compensation was given, and then they're alleging, well, they had rules and they had these parameters around what they could potentially do. Well, yeah, this is what happens. If you start looking for money, if you've ever raised money for a company, which I have, you go out and you do the fundraising, and guess what they do? They say they don't come together and say, yeah, see, we'll give you $5 million. What else you need there, Chip? You need some more stuff? Yeah, why not? Yeah, okay, here you go. Here's some money. No, they don't do that at all. What they say is, who else is coming in? You're like, what do you mean? They go like, well, who are the other investors? Now, when you have a seed round, sometimes it's one, sometimes an angel investor, you might have somebody just to kind of kick a project off. When you have multiple entities coming in, that's potentially what ends up happening. But they want to know who the first investor is. Oh, call me when you get another investor. Okay, cool. You get an investor. Then they say, oh, let me talk to investor. They talk. They say, oh, yeah. Now, this isn't what always happens, but it's really rare that someone's just going to give you a $5 million. And again, their seed round was very low. Let me jump into, let's take a look at this. We'll take a look at their funding rounds here. We'll go back to the screen here. So what they're alleging in this thing, and these are the rounds that Ripple had. So, yeah, I can't show more. But anyway, their first round was in 2013, a seed round that they had received. Let me go back to the summary here. There's the total funding. There we go. Is that it? There it is. Okay, so these are the funding rounds right here. So you had you had two seed rounds. This was in May and November of 2013, right? So the first investor gave 1.4 million. Second investor put in 3.5 million. Then on their Series A, which they had that occurred in May and October, 12 investors. You see 12 investors here. There's four. Exactly what I'm talking about. Who are the investors that came in, right? There's not one person that handed over 1.4 million nor 3.5 million. Now, for their very first Series A round, they had 12 investors coming in, a total of $28 million. That makes sense, right? So each is putting a little bit. Check your phone for what's up message. Okay, I will do that, Ferdy. Then you have Series A. You've got here. It's like 4 other investors. Now, the bottom line here is that what's being alleged inside of this this complaint is the fact that what they're going on about, and they make this through a recurring theme, was that Ripple had to sell XRP to fund its venture, and you know that was also dispelled by Garlinghouse thinking. They never mentioned, as far as I've seen, and I've been through it, but sometimes you miss it the first round. They're crafting this argument that Ripple would never have survived as a company had they not sold this XRP, or they gave it to other people to sell, and there was no restrictions. And then in one little sentence they say, but sometimes they had lockup periods. It's like, you know, you just might just miss it. Sometimes had lockup periods. Oh, so you're saying that they didn't always do this, that it actually was different. So the last funding round they received, there's actually Series C, which happened in December last year. 1 year ago, they got a $200 million round. It's probably to pay for the attorneys for this case, but because this is not going to be cheap. The fine they get will probably end up being a lot less than what they actually end up paying the attorneys. Wow, it'd be great to be an attorney sitting on this case here. So let me go ahead and check let me see what Ferdy's going on about here. Let me just go here. Aha, here we go. Holy cow, there's a lot going on here. Ferdy, can you send that to, can you drop those in a DM to me, please, on Twitter? Because that way I can effectively go through it on screen. Thanks, man. I don't have, I don't use WhatsApp on my computer here. But, so there were, if you look at if we go back to the funding rounds, and again, I'm going back and addressing some of the issues that the SEC had early days, and I want to just go to this. Here's the total rounds they've had. One acquisition, one exit. This is not updated, but $293 million was their funding amount. Okay, that's, you know, seed round all the way through their $200 million that they received last December of 2019. Number of investments 15. Okay, and again, some of this might not be up to date. This is public. This is Crunchbase, and you know, it's pretty good, although it may not be 100%, if you know what I'm saying there. So I want to go through some of these comments right here. Let's see, what is AJ saying here? Martin Hill. Yeah, this is, you know, sometimes people nail things. Chip started his ventures back in the early 30s. You're close, man. You're close. You're a little bit off, but you're close enough, right? You can Okay, look at this. So CryptFam says, hey, correct me if I'm wrong, but Coinbase said a few years back they could list securities, right? Hashtag asking for a friend. There was, I do recall something about securities, but again, I'm not really sure that I don't think any exchanges are, you know, there's not going to be any retribution there. I don't believe, but yeah, you could be making a solid point there. And let me see what else we have here. Yeah, if you guys have a question, throw it up there. We'll throw it on the screen there. Let's jump back into this thing because this thing's starting to get a little bit more interesting. What they're trying to craft here. So they talk about, and I'm going to go to iteration 17 million. So the XRP options from January 2018 through 2019, Ripple sold at least 1.63 billion XRP when certain entities exercised options to buy XRP that Ripple had granted. These are referred to as the option sales throughout. Now, in February 2016, Ripple granted an option to purchase units of Ripple XRP to a California-based fund. This is what they refer to as Option Investor A. So if you do some digging, you can probably figure out who these are, but what they're trying to do is craft, their intention is not to pull people into this, but they've got to, this is why they refer to them as Option Investor A, this California fund, or Investor Option A. And what they're saying is that, so Option Investor A invests in technology-related startups, right? So this is, if you look at who they are, you probably could do a little bit of digging. We could figure out who they are, and if you guys want to dig on that and let me know, great. Invest in technology-related startups in exchange for advisory services provided to Ripple. Now, this is very common in the world too. A lot of times, say we'll give you in kind some consulting for X. This happens all the time in the startup world. Ripple granted options for up to 1 billion XRP as of January 1st, 2014. Very early days, right? Very early days. Companies just getting started, trying to get on its feet, and they have an option for up to 1 billion at prices to be determined based on XRP market prices. So they don't list what those market prices would be. They're just basically getting into the fact that these option sales existed, and then they could exercise the options until March 1st, 2022. Between 2018 and September 2020, Ripple sales to Option Investor A consisted of at least 588 million XRP. So separately, they entered into another agreement with an enterprise software firm who they're going to call Option Investor B, based in Manhattan, gave the firm an option to buy up to 5 million XRP at a discounted price in exchange for efforts to help Ripple develop a use for XRP. Now remember, this is they're saying in 2016. Now I take a little bit of, what's the word here? What they're framing right here is they're still going on about, we were paying because we wanted to figure out there would be a use for XRP. In 2015, no, we had a use in 2015. Or this is actually, I'm sorry, 2016 is what they're saying here. They allowed them to buy up to 5 billion XRP to help them develop a use, right? So we're so clueless. We're a band of misfits. Chris Larsen, who was already, didn't need any new money, very successful in his own right. Garlinghouse, the whole team, Kidd, right? They were just kind of like just drifters, man. They had nothing going on, and they were just going to stumble into. In 2016, they were wondering, what can we do with XRP? Help us develop it. Now that's how the SEC is alleging this. They're not saying that they didn't reach out and say, look, we want you to help us develop. We want you to do, but they're almost making the case that they didn't have a use case, right? And this is also pervasive throughout the document. Payments to so I would say this. So Option Investor B purchased at least 1 billion XRP in 2019, right, for a discount. Now we knew all along that they were selling at discount. Sometimes it names in even the document up to 30%. 2017 and 18, Ripple entered into agreements with at least 10 digital asset trading platforms. Now this is where it gets interesting. Now we're going to start learning a little bit more and how this story progresses of how did XRP. Now if you remember back in the day, it wasn't easy to buy XRP. You had to buy Bitcoin, you had to transfer, you had to do this, you had to tap your head and rub your belly. It was a lot of craziness going on. So what happened, and how did Ripple solve that problem? Well, it's alleged by the SEC that they entered in agreements with these trading platforms, none of which were registered with the SEC in any capacity. Did you guys hear that? None of them were registered with the SEC. Who might those be? Well, they wouldn't be here, right? They're probably out of the country. And at least 2 of them, which have principal places of businesses in the United States, providing for listing and trading incentives with respect to XRP. Ripple paid these platforms a fee, typically in XRP, to permit the buying and selling of XRP on their systems. And sometimes incentives for achieving volume metrics, right? And just one example of these arrangements in May of 2017, Ripple gave a digital asset trading platform based in the United States 17 million XRP in exchange for the platform's agreement to make XRP available to buy and sell on its platform, as well as rebates on trading fees of up to $60,000 per month for 3 months and up to $150,000 incentive payments per month for 3 months to the top 3 traders of XRP or others on the network. So I started looking at this kind of wondering, I wonder who this is, right? So I'm thinking May 2017. 3 years. Did somebody, was there a crypto exchange out there that celebrated a 3-year anniversary recently? Um, the other thing they're alleging here is that it was a pay for play, right? Ripple started knocking on doors and said, this is a shakedown. Can we, and they're going to allege even further in here, another exchange, what they made a cash offering. Well, almost every exchange had some sort of a listing fee, right? To get it listed, to get it run on the platform. There's a lot of stuff. You don't just add it to the HTML page. A lot of stuff that has to go on behind the scenes for any trading platform exchange to be able to offer a digital asset, right? There's actually a lot of programming that has to be done to make that happen. And guess what? That doesn't come for free, and that's why some of the exchanges offered a fee. And what they're alleging here is that in May of 2017, Ripple gave one trading platform that is based in the United States. I mean, you don't have to go too far to figure out in 2017 who it might be. We know in exchange for the platform's agreement to make it available to buy and sell on the platform. Okay, fine. And they were also offering some additional incentives as well. Between October 2016 and 2017, Ripple distributed approximately 28 million XRP to these platforms with then current market value of $6.8 million. As reflected in internal documents, see, so they talk about internal documents. So there's a lot of discovery going on. This wasn't just the SEC wondering how they could craft this. And, timing wise, maybe this was timed because for Jay Clayton to still be there. And somebody brought this up earlier. Because if Jay Clayton is still there, he's crypto Grinch, right? He's like, I don't like crypto. But then the new guy's coming in and he loves crypto. He's totally pro crypto. So maybe that's one of the reasons they had to get it filed, or maybe they had some dissension within the organization. That might have had more to do with the timing. Was the exit of Clayton. He was actually scheduled to leave, I believe, in April or May. But he's leaving his tenure early. Maybe he was pushed out the door. I don't know. They said, hey, don't fall down the stairs, and a little shove. I don't know. I'm not alleging violence. Who knows, As I said before, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. So there you go. And what they're alleging here is that increased volume for XRP on a digital platform would create momentum for XRP. Ooh. Because Ripple doesn't control the price of XRP. So, for example, this Ripple Agent 3 instructed a Ripple employee and an XRP investor in June of 2017 that Ripple had to load with ultimatums any conversation with one particular Manhattan-based digital asset trading platform because it was a high-value target for Ripple. Ripple tried repeatedly and unsuccessfully to persuade the digital asset firm to list XRP on its exchange by offering to cover implementation costs. And we just talked about the costs that here, right? Initial costs, paying rebates, and brokering intros to large XRP holders for custody. Undaunted by these initial failures, now here's the big one they're dropping. Ripple Agent 3 emailed the two other owners of the firm directly in July of 2017, copying Garlinghouse, and asked, does a $1 million cash payment move the needle for a Q3 listing? So they're acting as though Ripple was doing some sort of a shakedown where they're like dangling, hey, how about $1 million here, right? A cash payment. Well, does a cash payment, a cash payment could have come in the form of a currency. A cash payment could have come in, Bones is saying backed. I'm not sure who are the Winklevosses. Are they based out of Manhattan too? Not exactly sure who it is. I mean, it's Manhattan based, so it was somebody that had a license to operate there. Because New York is very stringent. So who was given that license? This is really here. So it's Ferdy saying, hey, remember there are only two types of people in the world: the 1% people and the 99% people. The public and the masses never get it right. That's why most people are broke. It's not a bad theory. I mean, there is that separation, 1 and 99 percenters, right? So what else we have here? Ferdy's saying, okay, let's jump back into this thing. So here they are. This is the big bomb they're dropping. Does a $1 million cash payment move the needle? And what they're saying, well, who knows what that might have been? You say cash in an email, but they're basically saying Gemini. That's it. Yep, Gemini. Yeah, Gemini was it, Bones. That's it, exactly right. Yeah, Jeff. With Gemini, Bones beat you on that one. But yeah, I couldn't think of it. The Winklevoss, is that in New York? I believe it is. So, of course, they're BTC maxis. They're not going to move that needle very quickly. They can't be bought or sold, man. They believe in what they believe, and that's it. So they pull up this chart right here. I like some of the charts. By the way, some of these charts were added later after the initial filing. I went through that and I kind of pointed that out, that there were some additions to this. Nothing changed the actual the context of this. So they're going in now. They're going to start tabulating stuff. So type of other distribution in the offering right there. Here's the time period. And then the amount of XRP sold or exchanged for other consideration in the offering. So you had the executive compensation, that's about 597 million, right, in dollars, right? On-demand liquidity distributions, 324 million. You had the Ripple Works, which is 693 million. Spring was 776 million. Option sales were 1.637 billion. And then you had the digital asset trading platforms, which was $28 million. From 2016 to 2017, you remember back then you couldn't buy it anywhere. You're like, where can I buy XRP? And then all of a sudden, bing, 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 platforms started turning up. But back in the day, all these platforms had some sort of boarding fees. They all had a listing fee. I mean, most of them did. Some of them offered to list for free, depending on what the asset might have been, depending on how they might have been funded, or depending if they already had enough cash flow to absorb any of the costs for doing some sort of a integration period. So Larson and Garlinghouse sales of XRP. What they're getting into this spot right here, they're going after Larson and Garlinghouse, who are both named as plaintiffs in this. They're saying at all relevant times, Larson was either a CEO or chairman of the board of directors at Ripple, and thus he was the controlling group of XRP's issuer. While CEO, Larson had the power to appoint 6 out of the 8 seats on Ripple's board of directors, and Ripple's largest equity shareholder had 68% of its voting power. Pretty strong, right? The following sales of XRP took place, and I'm going to jump through some of this because a lot of this stuff is the same thing. They're talking about Larson paying the market maker, who he discovered was that entity based in the United States that was basically he was paying them to make offers and sales of XRP on digital asset trading platforms with worldwide operations and customers. Okay, so a company is actually going to perform work, and for that work they're going to be compensated, because that's what's happening here, right? Somebody performs a job and they're just supposed to do it for free. That's not how the world works. So they're doing this for a reason, because they're trying to show they're building this case against Larson, where they're saying that Larson offered and sold all of his XRP to investors all over the world, including the United States, without marketing or restricting offers to sales or persons who had a use for XRP. Okay, and without restricting purchases from reselling their XRP to other investors. And then they go on to say that they weren't restricting it to other investors, including investors in the United States or elsewhere. Larson and his wife, they netted approximately $450 million from these sales. Larson has so much more money than that, people. So much money than that. Larson directed his offers and sales of XRP from within the United States. Larson intends to continue selling his XRP, as he should, as shown in an email, but he sent an investor on June 30th, 2019. The investor had raised concerns about Larson's continued personal sales of XRP, and I've heard a lot of people in the community. I've seen kind of like a fracture in the community. I've seen the people saying, "Hey, man, I'm okay. Look, they were driving a company, right? They deserve to be compensated." That was the one side, and the other side, we have a lot of people really disappointed in this whole thing, like, "Oh my gosh, Garlinghouse sold, and Larson sold," and the argument that I heard from a friend in the community said, well, if they believed in his argument was, if they believed in it enough in XRP, why would they sell? Well, guess what, people? Do you have a sell point? Do you know that maybe some of your bag is going to be sold, or even in your whole entire crypto portfolio when you hit a number? Or are you just going to hodl it forever, right? Like, people live lives. The other counter argument came up, well, how much of their lifestyle do they need? Is $100 million enough? Is $400 million enough? is 450 million. Last time I checked, Larson has been personally installed cameras all over California to make sure crime would go down. That was the reason given, but it sounds to me, and that story made the Wall Street Journal. Then you had Larson giving a large amount to fund, to the homeless, a large amount going to a lot of different places, right? So it's weird they don't capitalize on the charity work Larson's done. Oh, no. So again, we get into some more cherry picking here. So this investor last year, so about a year and a half ago, was very concerned that he was selling off these assets, and the continued reduction of Ripple and Founders Holdings is likely constructive. On September 22nd, which is very recent, Larson also publicly confirmed from his Twitter account that he had transferred $500 million of his XRP, then worth approximately $115 million, to accounts he established with the digital asset firm incorporated in New York. Now, if you know, one of those founders of that organization, because this came up, people were pinging him on they were actually going to him on Twitter, and he had kind of broken it down. That's founder of that company sits on Ripple's board. Okay, see, there's a little bit of a hang on a second, guys. I have a sneeze coming on here. I'm like, I don't want that to be in the microphone. So, Garlinghouse sales from approximately 2015 to present. Garlinghouse was either the COO or the CEO of Ripple, and thus part of the control group of XRP's issuer. After Garlinghouse joined Ripple in 2015, Garlinghouse was awarded XRP from Ripple, aligning his financial incentives with Ripple. Okay, great. So, a lot of times what happens, you get stock. In this case, every other crypto firm has done this. You get some sort of incentive, and this time it was in the form of a digital asset or currency. Following sales took place with Garlinghouse working in coordination with Ripple to develop and maintain a liquid XRP market that the defendants could monetize. And defendants being obviously Garlinghouse and Larson. And from April 2017 through December 2019, Garlinghouse sold over 321 million of his XRP for approximately $150 million to the public through digital asset trading platforms other intermediaries. So it wasn't like, people always have this thing like Garlinghouse is sitting back in his, he's sitting in that office he always streams from, pulls out his his cold storage device, plugs it into his computer, and starts just ripping away. No, there's other organizations that are working on behalf, right? So he's not the one sitting there doing that. Garlinghouse offered and sold XRP to investors all over the world, including the U.S., without marketing or restricting offers to sales or persons who had a use for XRP. You see, it's a lot of the same. It's like a lot of the copy and paste throughout this whole thing. No use, XRP, no restrictions on it. Various times between 2017 and at least December of 2019, Garlinghouse also paused his XRP sales at the market maker's recommendation because XRP market price was falling, seeking to avoid having the latter's own XRP sales further drive down XRP market price. These are market conditions, right? Recently, Garlinghouse transferred some of his XRP into accounts that he opened with digital asset trading platforms, evidencing his intention to continue his unregistered sales of XRP. They almost want to put an exclamation point after that, right? And I want to jump back over here. I want to look at questions in here. I want to get some feedback here from the gallery over here, man. I want to make sure that we definitely do that. Let's do that. Let's looking through these. If you guys have any questions, drop them in there, and hopefully that I can check them out, look at them, and let's see here. And I check out who's in here. It's none other than
Come on, man, Berserker.
Berserker. What's up, man? Berserker has his own little announcement or video, whatever you want to call it there. He has it there, right? So anyways, I was looking through for that. So, if you look at some of the things that are occurring over and over again, what you can start to see the SEC building its case, really going through and talking about the whole idea that Ripple never registered what they deemed a security of XRP. And because it was unregistered and because they were dealing with outside entities, today we found out and discovered the fact that what Larson and Garlinghouse were doing was they had compensation packages in the form of a currency, a digital asset called XRP. Yeah, that's what it's called. And they had this, and then they're going after them again for there were no restrictions, and it's like, you ever have that person that wants to give you a gift and they're like, I got a gift for you, but you can't do this, you can't do that, you don't do that, and make sure, and you promise them, you're like, all right, man, I'm out, I don't even want it anymore, I'm done, right? Chris says, hey, crypto fam, looks like this is finally making headway. The U.S. needs to catch up with China to be viable free trade player in the emerging digital market. That's very well said. And, we see what's happening. It's alleged that most of the Bitcoin mining and even on the Ethereum side are happening in China, right? The department, the DNI Radcliffe, who's the director of national intelligence, who's over all the 17 U.S. government agencies, put out some warnings saying, hey, he's very concerned and wants some other regulatory bodies to look into the fact that China, and what they're doing with their own CBDC, and also because of the fact that they're mining all this Bitcoin, right? Let me see. Okay, so let's look at this. So Minte Kim says, hey, hello, Chip. Hello. Thanks for doing this. Please clarify this for me. Even if the U.S. delists XRP in worst case scenario and is deemed scared, I'm not sure what you mean there. Can't they just buy from Binance? Yeah, I mean, look, you're not supposed to be able to buy from Binance. But if you look at a company like Binance, the reason they split, because they didn't want to be in trouble with the SEC. That's why we have Binance.us. It's regulated. It used the existing license of a company based in California for that. They can delist it. I don't see, some are going to delist it. I think it's very telling to see Coinbase, who is just going to halt the trading. I don't know. Have we heard from Uphold chime in on this yet? Anybody seen anything from Uphold? Because that's another United States based, exchange. Has anybody seen anything? I haven't seen anything from them, but again, I wasn't out there looking for it, but I'm just curious. So, look, if it gets delisted, one of the statements that was made is that 90% of the customers and investors and people, the things that happen in and around Ripple, these customers are outside the United States. Even the worst thing that could happen is they deem it as security, an unregistered security. There's a fine, whatever. Now, are they trying to create clarity themselves, right? Because the whole world has passed by the U.S. Everybody, Japan. I mean, you name it. I mean, you almost have to pick out. I mean, even off the coast here, like I said, I could drive to the Bahamas if it were connected. There was some sort of a bridge there. I could be there in like under an hour and a half. It takes me 3 hours to go up and visit Mr. B up in Orlando, right? So it's right here. They're using something called the sand dollar. You have Bermuda. Yeah, so Jeff is saying there's nothing from Uphold. Thanks for checking on that. Nothing at all from Uphold. And Jeff and I we'll be co-hosting tomorrow night, Wednesday at 8 o'clock. We're going to be doing more of the same. We're going to do some workshopping this thing. There's a lot of other cool things that are happening to talk about. And look, Jeff and I have the same opinion that, look, sometimes people look at this as a curse. I don't see it that way at all. I actually think this is going to provide real regulatory clarity very fast. And what else do we have here? Yeah, One Mullet, thank you very much. Hit the like and subscribe, please. Really appreciate that. Phoenix commentaries. Can you overview my comment, please? I will if I can see it. Unfortunately, let me see. If you want to go ahead. Okay, so here we go. So Phoenix commentary says, I know this isn't what the live stream is for. Well, that's what you think. Yeah, it's for a lot of things. We go off subject a lot, but we're mostly keeping this subject matter tonight. Not what the live stream is for, but can you share your opinion on XLM launching the CBDCs in Europe and possibly Ukrainian area? Yeah, well, the thing about what I will say about XLM and the fact that the way their blockchain is set up, there was another entity over there too looking at launching a CBDC. Here's what I can, my opinion on this, and again, it's just my opinion. It's funny about XLM. XLM, Jed McCaleb really did not want to go institutional. He was all about the retail investor. He was all about sending payments fast and, focusing on the big retail or the institutional like banks and big money, like people like MoneyGram was the wrong way to go. Now, come full circle. He's done a 360 here. Now he's back on the whole, CBDCs. Well, back on institutional type of stuff. Now, the thing about some of the that I've read on this as far as XLM, and I know we're kind of going off topic, but I do think it does have a lot of bearing on the XRP as well, because it really is the sister, but their blockchain set up a little bit different. Some of these countries have requested the use of the blockchain, but taking it in a private manner, right? They don't want it to be public. The problem with the CBDCs that I see, a central bank digital currency is like one of the big hallmarks of blockchain is the fact that it is transparent, the fact that it is decentralized. And so what are we going to get with CBDCs? We're going to get centralization, and we're probably going to get where they're going to try to lock it down and have it be more private, right? You see that? What kind of transparency are we going to see with the Chinese CBDC? A Ukrainian CBDC? And so what always happens is we always want to go as a human race back to legacy stuff, right? Give you a case in point of that. Alex Mashinsky, who runs Celsius.network, we've had him on the show a couple times, and I think I bring this point up a lot, so does Jeff, because the fact that he said that he wasn't trying to create, with Celsius.network, he wasn't trying to create Wall Street 2.0. He was actually trying to go away from that. Now, the banks, right? The whole idea and promise of Bitcoin was the fact that the banks, we hate banks, we hate governments. Well, what's it rolling back to? AML, KYC. It used to be you could just buy, back in the day when you bought Bitcoin, you could buy it, you had Mt. Gox, for Christ's sake, right? You had Mt. Gox. And the whole idea of this shifting back to this control. Decentralization is now starting to look like CBDCs, which is centralized, which is controlled. And it's getting away from the promise of what blockchain is and what cryptocurrencies could be. You got a guy like Charles Hodgkinson who says, I want to put together a privacy coin because I don't like where this is going. I don't like where this is headed at all. And you start seeing privacy coins. Now, how is the government going to view a privacy coin? Are they going to like that? They're already coming down, on some of these other entities. But when you compare XLM, you start looking at these, they all start heading back to the control. The government wants control. What is this SEC complaint really about? How do we control it? How do we regulate it? How do we get our hand in the cookie jar? And how do we tax it, right? Eventually, the Securities and Exchange Commission, they're basically, a lot of what they're known for is regulation of public companies. If you look on their website, there's a lot of missteps, and a lot of it is in the financial realm of where they're making miscalculations, misusing funds, all this kind of stuff, right? You're public, that's why your scrutiny is like big time. There's a lot of scrutiny for that stuff. Is Brad Garlinghouse related to Martha Stewart? I don't know. Who knows? I know Martha Stewart. I know when Martha Stewart did time, she's a convict, right? She did a little bit of time for some insider trading, right? It was kind of she kind of went to like one of these country club places where you play gin rummy all day. I don't know what happened, but I don't know. If anyone wants to chime in on that, that's a cool question, Kent. But I don't know. I really don't know if she is or not. Let's see what other questions we have here. Pop, 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 pop. See you later, Mullet. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Good for stopping in here. And let me see. Bitcoin, a little more centralized. So we have Reg here, says the Biden administration should put an energy tax on Bitcoin and Ether as they're not mined for free. It costs thousands of dollars to produce a coin and energy. Yeah, you're raising a point here, but I don't like taxes. I don't like regulations. I would have, I'm more a fan, Reg, of less regulation than more regulation. The problem with regulation, it starts off as a good idea. You know what? We're going to come after them because we're going to tax them, and we're going to punish them because they're doing this. And what that turns into is over-regulation. And unfortunately, if you live in the United States and you have to actually do your taxes here, it's so incredibly complicated. You need a certified public accountant to, who's basically interpreting stuff, and they have to keep up with their credits because it changes. Look, less, in my opinion, is always best. Less regulation is best. More straightforward. Where it's not best is less clarity. Didn't work out so well for Ripple here, right? Hey, LAG, good to see you. Good day, I should say. What time is it there? By the way, what time it is in Australia there? I don't even know what time it is. It's probably what time? Is it day, morning? I don't even know. Maybe it's very late at night. Okay, so here we go. So Forrest Gump says, hey, even if you own XRP, would you be allowed to sell in once the banks own it? People stuck with bags that can't move sell. No, I don't foresee that happening. I mean, look, anything is certainly possible, but I know it could be a potential concern. And Jeff did a great video. I mean, do the banks want us out? I mean, do the banks not, is this just a way to, shake out the weak hands? Some people are asserting that. I kind of tend to believe that it's probably, hey, Bearable Bull's checking in here. Let's see what he's saying here. He's checking in on Twitter. Yeah, that's the former CFTC chair, Chris Giancarlo, stated that XRP is not a security. Yeah, and Bearable Bull, I just referenced that on the other channel. I did a video on that yesterday where I broke down that well-crafted article. Every single point. If you wanted to read that as how Ripple wins this case, that's the post to read. And you guys can always reach out to me, and I can tweet it out later too. But we looked at it months ago. It was written earlier in the year, I believe May. But that one actually brings it down to exactly, the 3 prongs of the Howey test. If it met 1, if it met 2, there's no way it meets 3. Boom, can't be done. And it's also a good idea to go back to that statement. And I've talked a little bit about this in these before. But if you look at, it was Frankenfurter, I believe his name is, the justice who was the one dissent. He wrote the dissenting opinion. And he opposed the whole idea of calling it a security, the whole thing coming down to Howey, the Howey company. Howey had actually passed away in 1938, the man that founded the Howey orange grows. But when he was looking to expand these orange grows and looking to sell these parcels of land to raise money to expand, one of the things that was written in the dissent was that each person who was an investor or bought parcels of land could go inspect it, and they could also farm it. So that's where the dissent came in. It wasn't, and again, it looked a little bit like cherry picking, but I started looking under the hood a little bit, and I'm uncovering other things and other reasons why they went after Howey. First of all, he was a politician who wasn't liked down here. Second of all, he had the largest orange grove. He ran for governor. This is like one of these seedy stories. I almost have to do a whole podcast on what's going on there. There's a lot of stuff going on there. It's a really deep rabbit hole I started going down. I almost think it might make an interesting video, but I believe they went after Howey for other reasons. There's always some kind of politics involved. He was going hard and heavy on this side of it, and then you had him running for public office, and you had him being mayor of the town, and you had him founding what's called Howey in the Hills, which is in Lake County, Florida, which is right under Orlando. But Howey in the Hills is named after Howey. He was a successful entrepreneur. He was kicking things he probably shouldn't have been kicking. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on there. And I believe in the dissent, when I started reading it and realizing that, that's a really good opinion. They don't bring that up in there when they called it an unregulated security. What they did bring up was the fact that he did not register this security, and that's what became known as the Howey test. What somebody else suggested in one of our live streams is, screw the Howey test. It's time for the Ripple test. I don't even call it the Ripple test. I'd call it something more like the Ripple Manifesto. It's going to be the decision heard around the world, because guess what? When it's all settled and done and it's deemed not a security, what do you think is going to happen? Now, this is just me sort of surmising here and guesstimating, but if you were to all of a sudden get clarity and it's not a security, and how do you think institutional investors, how do you think they're going to look at that? What about companies that invested hundreds of millions of dollars into Bitcoin, and they bought a Bitcoin at $10,000? They bought a Bitcoin at $12,000. Man, can you imagine what you could buy once we get clarity on this thing? If you want to look at an impetus that you'd ever seen for a moonshot, I can't think there would be anything less than this. Moonshot, boom, and what's happening? Fear, loathing, everything, it's done, it's finished. Yeah, it's done and finished. Let's check the price here. Done and finished, right? Dropped down to 17. What are we sitting at right now at the time that we are recording this? It is sitting at 21. So it bounced already. And Mr. B was in here saying, look, we already got a 30% bounce. pretty damn good. You know, I mean, imagine what it would take an increase for a 30% bounce if you're now buying Bitcoins between $25, $35, $40,000 per Bitcoin. Yeah, you can buy fractional stuff, but it's going to start looking like a really strong buy. And now start comparing that to Ether. How much does Ether cost? Guys, what's the price of Ether right now, right? Or buying something for 70 cents, $1.70, $5, $10, $100. It's all on sale, right? So that's why I don't get disturbed by this. You know, personally, again, you guys have to do what's best in your best interest. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not providing financial advice. This is entertainment. We come in here, we workshop stuff, we're looking at stuff together, we're sharing opinions in here. Yeah, this looks like that. No, that doesn't look like that. But like I tell everybody, you got to look in your own heart. You got to trust your own research. You know, and people go like, well, I don't like research. I always want to watch a bunch of YouTube videos. Yeah, that's fair enough. Watch YouTube videos. But, you know, we all have different opinions about it, too. I mean, we don't all think alike. You know, we're humans. We all think differently. We all have our own opinion. But I have people like our tribal, they go like, it's XRP, the standard. It is the standard. But guess what? You know, a lot of us hold other digital assets. We're into other projects. Some of them we like. Like someone says, oh, I really like, Project X. I don't want to get into naming names here, but I like Project Y. It's like, oh, well, I like it because of this. And again, you got to connect with stuff. If you think it's in your best interest to liquidate, then by all means, liquidate. If you think it's in your best interest to hold, hodl strong, then that's it. I can just tell you what I've done. I've never sold one XRP yet, not one. I was tempted. I was tempted when we had that little race up to 75 cents. I was tempted, but I'm like, the minute I do it, guys, I'll put a tweet out and you guys will know that that's your moonshot right there, because it'll fly out of this world. And we're going to be breaking this down again tomorrow. We're going to be going into the whole thing because I think it's pretty interesting and it's exciting, and I love to hear your opinions on what you think and where we are in this whole thing and where's this all going. Is XRP going to zero? I don't think so. I don't think it is. Now, a selfish part of me hopes it goes down to 0.0007. That's just me. I like, maybe it takes a quick dip in the pool and then back up again. I mean, wishful thinking. I'm still holding. I'm not going anywhere. So anyway, that's where I'm at. I want to see, hit me up on Twitter and check out that video down below. Click on the channel, but you can watch that other video I put together. And maybe I'll tweet that article around, but I think it's brilliantly done. Bearable Bull brought it up here, the whole idea of Chris Giancarlo and why he goes through methodically why XRP is not a security. You read that, I think your head will be in a different space. Or if you prefer, watch the video, you can do that as well. I'm Chip. This is the XRP Minute. Like, subscribe, click that notification bell. If it's your first time here, you'll notified when we go live. We're going live again tonight. Jeff's going to be streaming at 8 o'clock. Going to put on a really nice clinic. By the way, we had over 1,000, I think almost 1,100 on the live stream last night. And tomorrow night, Jeff and I will be streaming right here at 8 p.m. Eastern time, New York time, Miami time, I should say. And Jeff does he streams again on Saturday morning at 8 o'clock. So that's pretty cool if you get up early and watch that. Then Sunday night, we're back on the saddle for the round table. We do the round table every Sunday night without fail. So far, so good. Fingers crossed. 8 p.m. And it's just the time that we've designated. I know it doesn't work for a lot of our European friends. And maybe Jeff and I will take a look at it and make an hour earlier because we have so many loyal fans. We have Darcy in Ireland. We have Sir John over in Europe. We have, Ferdy, who's in the Netherlands. Like so many. And meanwhile, we're like, they're coming on at 2 o'clock in the morning. So maybe we have to look at that. Maybe we have to make it at an earlier time. We'll take a look at that. Anyway, I had a really good time here. Thank you very much. I'm Chip. I'm out, and I'll see you on the next one. Have a good one.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.